While you isolate it, it just, like you said, it forces self accountability. It forces you to actually look within and realize this is who I am. This is what I deal with. The person that you are when nobody else is watching, that's truly who you are. Not who you are when you're in front of thousands of people, not who you are when you're in front of your friends, not who you are when you're in front of your spouse or your mom, your dad, not when you're in front of anybody else. Who you are when you're alone and you're isolated and you're not in front of anybody else and it's just you thinking about what you do and the decisions that you make and the factor and role that you play in every circumstance. You feel me?
Yeah, I tell people you are your true self when you're by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Face to face in the mirror, one on one. That's who you truly are. That's like, you know what I'm saying? You're able to see your problems. You're able to see your trauma, the things that, you know what I'm saying? Your ego, your pride, all of that is just right in your face.
Yeah.
Talk about a time where you had to isolate yourself, bro. Like, talk about a time where you were in a season of isolation. You had to distance yourself. You had to separate yourself from your friends, and you know you use that so that you can grow.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, Yanni in here. What's good? Uh, a time that I had to isolate myself to grow. Around the time of 2018, the older you get, the more stuff you start to realize that you're going through. That's when I started to isolate myself. That's when I started to get more serious. So 2018 going into 2019, that's when I was like, all right, I'm not feeling right. I'm not feeling like myself. I got to take a step back from the world and, just really lock in with myself, stay in tune with myself, be aware of myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a YouTube channel. It's going and all of that. And
What's your YouTube called?
Royal Tribune, I pulled back from it and I'm like, you feel me? Let me
Mm-hmm.
really take a step back from myself. So I shut that down and just really focus on myself for the next couple of years. So from 2019 all the way up until 2022, I was like, I really got to lock in with me. So throughout that whole time, I'm just going through the motions of how I feel, how to communicate how I feel, and how to really just, you feel me, really just experience and understand what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm realizing childhood trauma, you know,
So this is a 3 year span.
yeah, a 3 year span, childhood trauma, what else? Just different things, self-confidence, all of that stuff. Like all of that stuff is playing a part. Character, integrity, all of that stuff is playing a part. And I noticed that the things that you go through as a child, you can kind of nip it in the bud if you pay attention to it. So one thing that I recently have experienced is my lack of communication. And whenever things get challenging, that's when I would pull back and just disappear or not, communicate, just due to like lack of confrontation, not wanting to experience confrontation, and me just wanting to really take a step back and evaluate things for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that during that time was the time that I had to isolate in 2019 all the way through 2022 because it was a lot going on. I was depressed. I wasn't feeling like myself. I had worked out, got in shape how I wanted to, and then I just stopped caring. Just dropped everything. You feel me? Dropped everything. Eating differently, like eating however I want, not caring how I look, not caring about my skin, none of that. Just doing whatever, looking
Yeah,
crazy.
just survive.
Just what'd you
Just
say?
survive.
Yeah, just surviving, just in there. Ooh, and now I realize this can be a good and bad thing because throughout that time, as I stepped away from the camera, I then started my graphic design business where we teammated, and so I kind of used that as a coping mechanism to not think about what I was going through, or not think about the different challenges that I was facing in my life during that period. And so as I'm going through it, you feel me? I'm doing the designs, I'm doing all of that, and now I'm becoming a people pleaser, and I'm becoming a huge people pleaser. So I'm committing to things, meeting deadlines, not, showing up for myself. And throughout that process, that's the eating unhealthy, sleeping all different kinds of times, which I still don't even got that right, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though we in grind mode. But yeah, so eating unhealthy, not sleeping right, not doing what I need to do for myself, and just sitting in front of a laptop 24 hours, dang near, every single day, and just sitting in front of a laptop, working nonstop, not doing anything else but sitting in front of a laptop 24/7. You feel me?
I got a question. So you said you started it as a coping mechanism. Coping mechanism. Like, did you start it because the type of business you got is like you don't got to necessarily show your face. Like it's like face.
Right.
Like, did you have that in mind as well? That you're gonna like kind of like be alias with this?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, when I was in YouTube, I was in the forefront of the camera. When I wasn't on YouTube and I slowly started to back away, then I'm no longer having to be in front of the camera. So with graphics, you just need the design. You don't need to see who I am. You feel
Yeah.
me? So I'm using that time to just be me in that season of who I became. I was just using that time to be me and not have a faceless brand. With Royalty Made It, there's clients and people that I work with who don't know who Travion is. They just know who what Royalty Made It produces for them. They don't know like I am, and I'm still trying to figure out who I am. You feel me? So I can even say I am this, I am that. Like, and I'm learning that. Like, I'm learning that your business doesn't define you. I'm learning that who you are isn't your career. It isn't, what you produce in the world or what you contribute to the world. It's more than that. You feel me? So that's what I'm learning now.
Wait. So throughout that season, did it help though, or did it hurt you?
Mm.
Because it seems like I don't know.
Did it help or did it hurt?
Yeah, because it seems like your self awareness grew. Like you were more self aware, like
Right.
aware about yourself.
So I definitely feel like the pandemic used that during that time. It really helped me get on a clear road of who, like, what am I going through and experiencing what am I going through, seeing myself. If I didn't start the graphics, I wouldn't have learned. I don't think I would have learned who I am, because when you start to work with different people and different stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you start to realize or hear the same exact thing over and over. So if somebody tell you, you do this, or you always say yes every single time, you never say no, and one person said, okay, that's cool, you could nip it in the bud, or just move on with it. If a second person say it, now it's like you raise an eyebrow. You like, all right,
They're like
somebody else
pointing
just said
flaws.
that. What'd you say?
They're like pointing out your flaws, basically that you didn't even know about yourself.
Yes. So one person says it, it's cool. Second person says it, it's like you raise an eyebrow. Third person says it, it's like, all right, maybe I need to change something or look within myself in order to grow, because there's just no way this same result is being produced. It's like before, when I was younger, I used to be bad in school. And
Yeah.
so when I used to act out, I'm like, oh, the teacher was this. Sometimes it was, in fact, the teacher, but it's almost like the boy who cries wolf when you are getting the same message and it's being released or put out in the world from different people. And it's like, not everybody is lying about you. That's the one thing my mom would say when I get in trouble. And I'm like, oh, it was this person, it was that person. No, it was you, and you're the common denominator in your story, or in any situation, you may be the common denominator of why people are treating you this way, why you receiving these same results, why you're attracting these kind of people. And so during that time, my business, it helped me grow into who I wanted to be, which is an entrepreneur, which is a person that works for himself, a person that uh, impacts people, make people feel good through graphics. Because I feel as though with graphics, it allows me to contribute in a world and serve to people,
Mm.
but it also allows me to be creative in any way that I would like to. And so, yeah, that it helped me, but it also has damaged me in a way where made some mistakes that I need to work on. I messed up some relationships. I messed up some of my own bread at times, and I'm realizing like, oh, you can't continue to operate a business like this. Like I have said on multiple occasions, I remember saying I would have healed first before starting a business, but that's not the case. That's not what happened. So I had to heal, and I'm still healing while operating a business. I'm still working on things that I have a habit of doing while operating a business, while becoming a successful entrepreneur, while building longevity and, generational wealth from my family. You feel me?
Yes. Do you think that the bad habits that so you're saying like the bad habits were showing out in your business as you're servicing these people?
Hmm. Yeah, the bad habits was definitely showing as I'm servicing these people. Why when, you're overwhelmed, you don't respond? Or why when, let me think, why when, you know, why do you not communicate if you feel as though like it's too much pressure right now, or you can't deliver this specific project? What is it? What reason do you not like mention or provide any updates when,
And
projects
it
are due? You feel me?
yeah, and it ties up to stuff that you've been through in the past, basically.
Right. And so it's like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when you're doing something in your personal life and expecting it not to bleed in other places, you're doing things wrong, or you maybe haven't you have a wrong perspective or outlook on like what you're doing. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely that's a good perspective. You know what I'm saying? So by you starting your business and trying to service people, you were getting like repetitive, like people telling you to do this, or you kind of got to work on this, and then it ties to what you've been through basically, and it forced you to kind of like have to work on that shit. Like,
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes you gotta. I feel as though sometimes you have to. I wouldn't say bully yourself because that's an unhealthy way of putting it, but you have to come conscious, bring something to your conscious mind that you've been unconscious of in order to make a change on it. And you have to continuously be intentional about making that change in order to actually come up with a new result or a new outcome in life. You feel me?
yeah, but how do you do that without like? Because people are afraid to do that. People are afraid to tap into that conscious side, that uncomfortable side of that. How do you do that, like in a comfortable way, basically?
There, I feel as though there's no comfortability in change and growth. You feel me? You have to get uncomfortable in order to make a change. I myself am very honest with myself, and I reflect on the things that I do. All right, you made this mistake, and you also made the same exact mistake here, and you also made the same exact mistake in another place. You made this mistake with your mother. You made this mistake with a business partner. You made this mistake with, if you're in a relationship, you made this mistake with a girl. You feel me? And so, if these three different people that contribute three different things in your life in a different way, then
And it's a problem.
it's a problem. You feel me? Like it's a problem. It's not just something that they're just saying for the fun of it. And then you also, because what comfortability will do, it'll make you start to point the fingers at others. Somebody's telling you something about yourself, and then you'll say, "Oh, well, you do this, or you need to work on this." But they're talking about you in that moment. So we're not talking about what everybody else does. We're talking about what you do and what you need to fix in that moment. So that's why it takes you being uncomfortable in order to be truthful with yourself and realize like, oh, I'm actually doing this and I'm actually making this mistake and I need to work on it and continually work on it, or else the older I get, this habit is only going to grow bigger.
You're just gonna linger and linger, and it's just gonna get worse.
For sure. And that's why when people say when people say that they want to be a millionaire or they want this kind of money, I'm glad that when I started my YouTube channel, I'm glad I didn't make millions of dollars. I would have blew it. My character of who I was, my mindset of who I was then, wouldn't have been able to maintain it of who I am now. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so yeah.
You gotta be ready for it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And not that you'll have when you expand and grow in life, you're not gonna have it all together. We're constantly evolving. I even had this thought recently of like, why every time you feel as though you got one thing under control, there's always something else where you're like, dang, I gotta work on this now. You just fixed this. You may have fixed this one thing in your trauma. You may have fixed a relationship in your life. You may have, I can use my own experience. I may begin to fix a relationship with my father in my life, and then something else may come about. I may have to fix a relationship with food and money and finances and, relationship with women and all of that stuff. So it's always a needle that needs to be moved, and a goalpost, like the goalpost will always move as you grow. So you may be having this one goal to achieve, and then once you achieve that goal, you want more, or it's going to move even further out, and you're going to have to then reach that goal. So it's like it's never ending. Like we're always constantly changing. Every time I thought like this is who I am, then that changed again of who I am now, and I have to figure out who this new Travion is, or who this new version of myself is. You feel me?
Yeah, like we're constantly growing. Like last year, I remember I used to think, oh yeah, I'm mentally in the right space. I'm mentally kind of like locked in. Like I'm at the highest space in my life now. I feel like now I'm higher than I was last year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Constantly growing and elevating. It's just part of life. You know what I'm saying? It's part of getting older and growing up.
Sure. Yeah, I can't even think about something when I was younger. Of thinking about like this is crazy, but I remember this song by Jay-Z. It's called Forever Young, and I was I was crying over it because I'm like, dang, what's gonna happen the older I get? I'm not gonna have anything to talk about with my mom. I'm not gonna have anything to talk about with my family. What's gonna happen? You feel me? But one thing Yanni had told me a while, like a couple of weeks ago, is like thoughts are abundant, and so in that moment, I didn't think anything else other than the moment that I
Wait,
was
what do you
in. But as I
mean by
grew,
that?
I have more abundant thoughts. What were you saying?
What does she mean by that? Thoughts are abundant.
Thoughts are abundant. So you may have one thought, and then another thought will be produced. You may have this thought, but then another thought can be produced. So if you think that you, you aren't enough, if you think that you don't add any value to the world, that you don't contribute anything to the world, or you have no self-worth or no value in the world,
Mm-hmm.
that that thought will then become abundant, and it will continue to grow. That's how I look at it. Now, how she may look at it and how she may, use it is different. But that's how I took it in. Is whatever you're thinking is gonna continue to grow. And also, another perspective of that is whatever you're not thinking, the thoughts will continue to be produced. You feel me? So that's how I look at it, as thoughts are abundant. Is like you're either gonna continue to grow in the thoughts that you're thinking right now, or you're gonna continue to receive new thoughts that will take you to a new path and lead you to a new life. You're one decision away from the next chapter in your life. You feel me?
Yeah. Then that's a very unique perspective.
Hmm.
I never knew about that. I never thought so abundant. Yeah,
It's something to think about.
that shit got me thinking, man. But, but what would you so somebody who's kind of like in that season where you had to start off in 2019 when you had to like that whole 3 year period, what would you like what's one thing you would like want to leave somebody, to take away? Somebody who's currently in that season right now.
One thing I would like to leave with somebody. So
Somebody that's like in a position where they like, damn, I don't know if I'm gonna make it out, you know what I'm saying? I'm kinda
yeah,
yeah.
that's it. That's the direction I want to take it. Depression, that can be a serious thing. It can lead people to want to kill themselves, or not want to move on any further, want to overdose or anything. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And so with that was something that I was experiencing of. I don't really want to keep moving forward. But then the conscious mind of me thought like, okay, if you don't move forward, then you won't see the next chapter. So it's kind of as if when you're in the moment of things,
Mm-hmm.
it may not look good, but your vision is definitely going to be cloudy. It's definitely going to be cloudy of just that thought that you're producing. As I mentioned, your thoughts can become abundant of what you're thinking, or it
Mm-hmm.
can become abundant in the next thought or the next thoughts that are produced in a different direction. And so, if you're looking at it in life and you're depressed and going through your own things, and you think you can't get out of it, you can, because you have a spreadsheet, a data sheet of you making it past everything else. So if you feel as though you can't make it through this, I don't see why. You feel me? You have a data sheet of everything else you made it through. You may have made it through, you're being sexually molested. You may have made it through an abusive relationship. You may have made it through, not getting a good grade in school, just the little things. You've made it through everything else, so why can't you make it through this? You feel
Yeah.
me?
I be having, I be thinking that too. Like every time I hit a wall or something, I'm going through something. I be like, I look at my track record.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm damn near undefeated in everything I've been through. Like I came up on top. I just had to keep going. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And some periods took a short time. Some periods took longer than that. But at the end of the day, I overcame everything that I came across. So it's like this is just another one. I just got to do again. You feel me?
for sure. I feel like I'm preaching up here. Hallelujah! It's like, nah,
That's
I'm
just
crying. What did
nah,
you say
for
there?
preaching though, bro.
Nah, word.
Man, y'all just gotta push through, bro. Y'all just gotta push through and get on the other side.
What's been a time that you experienced of isolation?
All my life, bro. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go back to like when I was in military school. So I was in military school. I was like 16. I was 16, right?
Hmm.
That was the first time I was ever, mind you, I was in school for 7 months. I was at military school for 7 months away from my family, away from my friends, and that was the first time I really was away from my environment,
Yeah.
for that long. You know what I'm saying? So I had to like meet people and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And during that season, like, cause prior to me going in there, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. Like I grew up, I was like, oh, I want to make it to the NBA and stuff like that. And as you get older, you realize I don't know if I want to make it to the NBA no more. So I'm like in there, I'm like, do I want to go to college? Do I want to get a job? Do I want to start a bit? Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. You feel me? I was very stagnant there. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
when I'm in that season, when I was in that season, I was spending a lot of time reading and just thinking and talking to God. That was probably like the first time I really had like an intimate relationship with God. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like growing up, I was like, oh, I got a good relationship with God. You know, I go to church here and there, but I was actually talking to God back and forth because I had no choice but to talk to God. You feel me? I didn't have nobody in my ear. I didn't have, you know what I'm saying? Nobody telling me, like, I didn't have no distractions around me. Like, I just, I used to be on my bunk bed. Everybody outside playing. You feel me? I used to be just in my room, just sitting on the bunk bed, looking at the ceiling, just thinking, like, you know what I'm saying? God just showing me my potential. He's like, you can do this, bro. You can do that. If you go to college, you can do this. You can start a business. Like God just kept showing me, like I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be a billionaire. He kept just showing me different avenues I can go to. Like you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, you gonna own an NBA team, bro. You gonna build out an empire. So that was like one of the key moments of my life where I was in a season of isolation. And then when I came out of that season, you feel me, that I just started taking action. You feel me? I started just kind of moving towards that vision that he showed me. Like he really showed me a whole blueprint when I was in it. Like I'm saying,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
the only way he could show me that blueprint was me being in there. He wasn't able to show me that blueprint if I was still outside every day, just doing whatever I was doing. You feel me? Just still in my same environment because I had too many distractions in my ear. I was, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't gonna be able to hear him clearly, basically.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, for sure. It's even making me think. Imagine if you were Imagine if you were who you were at 7 years old or 10 years old, the pivotal moments of your life. Imagine if you were who you are today at 16 years old. Imagine if you were still the 16-year-old Goni. You feel me?
Hmm.
You would be living on Earth dead
Right.
because you're not thinking forward. You're
Just,
not moving forward.
I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going through my day to day, wake up, you know what I'm saying? Eat
Yeah,
and just waste time. You feel me? There's no purpose, and I'm not intentional about my day. I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? So he had to force me into isolation so that he can talk to me, so he can get my attention. You feel me? So he can show me what I'm capable of doing. You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure,
So he can show me, oh, go this way instead of going this way. You know what I'm saying? Go the right way instead of going the left way. Like he had to really show me that shit. Like,
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Definitely gotta keep growing and moving the needle because I mean nobody that's one thing that I realized over time as I was going through what I was going through that whole growth process, that whole reflection years, not year, that whole reflection years, those whole every year
3 years
full of
is a long
reflection. Yeah, 3 years, you feel me? All of those years of reflection that made me realize like nobody else is gonna get you out of this. It's gonna be
you versus you.
you versus you.
Like, I'm already, bruh. Like,
Yeah,
that's the one thing about being in isolation. Like you can't blame nobody about this. You can't, you know what I'm saying? There's nobody around. It's just you and you. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like all the decisions that you making, everything is just based on you. So it's like you got it forces you to be accountable of yourself as well. Like,
yeah, for sure. While you isolate it, it just like you said, it forces self accountability. It forces you to actually look within and realize this is who I am. This is what I deal with. The person that you are when nobody else is watching, that's truly who you are. Not who you are when you're in front of thousands of people, not who you are when you're in front of your friends, not who you are when you're in front of your spouse or your mom, your dad, not when you're in front of anybody else. Who you are when you're alone and you're isolated and you're not in front of anybody else and it's just you thinking about what you do and the decisions that you make and the factor and role that you play in every circumstance. You feel me?
yeah, I tell people you are your true self when you're by yourself.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Face to face in the mirror, one on one. That's who you truly are. That's like, you know what I'm saying? You're able to see your problems. You're able to see your trauma, the things that you know what I'm saying, your ego, your pride, all of that is just right in your face. Like,
Your
and it's
anger,
your
that's
anger.
something that I dealt with as well, is just anger. And sometimes you don't even know what you're angry about. You just angry at the world
Yeah,
and you angry at yourself. You're angry at what you allow. You're angry at, what this person may have done to you. All that stuff.
yeah. Like I learned about myself. Even when I was in that period, when I was gone for like 7 months, I realized I don't like listening to people.
Hmm.
Like I would just want shit done my way. You feel me? I'm not gonna hear what you guys say. I'm like, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? I just want it's my way or no way. That's how I used to think. And I'm like, you can't think like that. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
gotta be open minded and hear people out. You feel me? So that's something I had to learn. A little bit of anger as well. You know what I'm saying? Like about my father leaving me and stuff. Like I was just angry. And just you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't respect nobody like who was older than me. You feel me? I ain't respect nobody. Like I don't know, bruh.
Yeah, for sure. That's the same. When I was in school, that I wasn't really respecting. When I was in school, I wasn't really respecting older people, and it's not because that's what I was taught or how I was raised, but it was just oh, using excuses of what's happened in my life,
Yeah.
and you know this person did this to me. My father wasn't in my life. My mom did this. All of this stuff that has nothing to do with the actions that I choose to make. You don't have to be the things that you've experienced. You feel me? You don't have to be the experience that you go through, and on earth. You feel me? You can be a new person. You can treat people the way that you would have wished you have been treated. You feel me?
Yeah,
You can give people an experience that you wish you would have lived through. You feel me? So using the excuse of this happened to me or this person wasn't in my life or I experienced this, it it's not gonna do anything for you. It's just gonna leave you in a stagnant place. It's gonna leave you in a place of misery. It's gonna leave you in a place of, you know, narcissistic ways and everything goes your way, or if it don't go your way, it's up from there. You feel me? And how you said of you used to be like, if it don't go my way, then it's nothing else. I
mm,
would be the same way and also be mad at the fact of people telling me what I need to work on when I already know what I need to work on. It's kind of like you about to wash the dishes and your mom say, "Oh, make sure you wash the dishes," and you like, I don't
that's
even want to do it no
the but I'm never.
more. Like,
I'm about to do that right now. What you mean? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like it's like, bro, I don't even want to do it.
I mean, they just want the dishes washed, even though you was gonna do it. It's like I don't know, bro. It's really like an ego thing, not trying to have nobody over you. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Want to be, the big dog all the time. Like,
right. Wanting to call all the shots and make all the decisions and not realizing that, some people, they want you in their lives and they want you to be a part of their experience on earth. And so when they're telling you what's hurting them, when they're telling you the things that bothers them that you do to them and the experience that you make them live through and how you make them feel, you feel me? Like they're gonna for sure tell you because they want to keep you in their lives. And so if you're not
yeah,
consciously thinking of how you're making this person feel, then like they're gonna at some point it's gonna become a dead end and they're gonna want to move on in life and not experience life with you and rather experience it with you. They're gonna want to experience it without you moving forward. You feel me?
get that to help you. You know what I'm saying? They ain't telling you that just to like. You know what I'm saying, you should be glad they're telling you that because a lot of people are not gonna tell you the truth. A lot of people gonna be like, "Oh, keep doing what you do, bro. You're gonna be good." You know what I'm saying? A lot of people gonna sugarcoat and tell you what you want to hear instead of telling you the truth. And yeah, damn, looking back at it, I really grew up, bro.
Hmm.
I grew up like shit. Like 16, 15, even a little bit of 7. Now 17, I was starting to like kind of pick it up, like be better with. Like 15, 16 and under, I was just impulsive as shit, bruh. Like
Hmm.
all my decisions, if I look back at it, all my decisions were all emotional decisions, bruh.
Right.
Anger, you know what I'm saying? Like pride and just however I feel, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, bruh.
Yeah, for sure. All of my decisions when I was younger was emotional, and people used to always tell me, "Think before you do." And every time I would not think before I do. If you violate me, it's up. I want to fight. I want to throw hands. Run me my one. If you say something out of line and I don't agree with it, it's up. I want to run my one. I want my one. You feel me? And every time it got me nowhere. It didn't do anything besides made me feel like
Good in
shit in that moment. Like once I look back and I'm after I made the decision, I'm like, damn, why did you do that? What was the point? You could have been
that
the bigger person and moved on. You didn't have to stoop as low to that person's level of where they're at because you know what you're doing and you understand, the decisions that you're making. And so if you just moving in life and anybody can get a reaction out of you, like you're weak.
you're mentally weak. You know, it shows that you're mentally weak. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for sure. That's
You got,
crazy.
you got to be mature, man. You got to be the bigger pan, the bigger person, the bigger man in every situation.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. I think that's one thing as men, for sure, that can be a challenge. It's so many things that you have to do as a man. You got to be strong. You got to be mentally strong, physically, to protect yours and all of that. You got to, you know, move a certain way. You have to be a man of character. You have to consciously
Spiritually
work
strong.
on your
Well.
habits. You said what?
you gotta be spiritually strong as well to
Yeah,
still kind of like live up to God's standard. You feel me? When it comes to like lust and just
yeah, for
everything.
sure. And I'm now learning that as I get older, like how important it is to be spiritually strong. You know, when I was isolated, that's definitely something that I started to begin to realize of is like God is over all of this. All everything that I'm doing is it's not just me doing it. You feel me? And that's why anybody that says like, "Oh, I'm self-made," or "I did this on my own," or
I'm God
yeah,
made.
like you feel me? Like
I'm God.
everything that's been produced, I made it. I didn't create it. I made it. There's a difference. God created it for me to use His supply, but I had to use what He created and make it for production and for it to be produced into the world.
Yeah, it's like God gave you the God God showed you the cake and He gave you the ingredients for the cake. He gave you the flour. He gave you the baking mix. How what else goes in the cake? He gave you the
I don't even know. I don't know how to cook.
I don't eat
Mess
cake.
around,
He
burn the house down.
sprinkles. He gave you everything you need. Now it's just you got all these ingredients on the table. Lay down the kitchen table now. Make the cake. You feel me?
Hmm.
That's all he wants you to do is just make the cake. Like you can't make the cake and be like, oh, I'm self-made. Now you wouldn't have made the cake if God didn't give you everything and show you the blueprint on making the cake. God made, bro.
If He didn't give you the wisdom, if He didn't give you the thought within itself, planting the seed in your mind to execute on that idea or that vision that you have.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Because all thoughts come from God, you know what I'm saying? So you would have been, you know what I'm saying? Me having all these visions on what I want to do in life, I wouldn't even have those visions if it wasn't for God. So it's like,
For sure.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm learning that now for real. Of just simply doing for me and understanding like without God, like there's no you. So I'm learning that spiritual side because yeah, I was in church and stuff when I was younger, but I had to build my own relationship with God. Nobody else can do that for me. Nobody else can tell me read this Bible if I don't want to read the Bible. Nobody else can tell me seek God if I don't want to seek God. You feel me? So
Yeah.
I'm learning that now as I'm becoming a young man and a man that I do have to have that spiritual sense. We all say God, but who are we really talking to?
Yeah.
You feel me?
I feel like, so when you used to go to church when you was a kid, was you like forced to go to church or it was like more so you kind of wanted to go?
I wouldn't say it was forced. It was like it was never like I don't remember it being like you have to go to church. You're gonna go to church. You feel me? It wasn't like that. It was just like this is what my family does. I want to be around my family because I'm a very family oriented person,
Yeah,
and so
that's one thing I know about you. You definitely like being around, like, you know, say your people and shit.
yeah. So it was never a thing of like, oh, you gotta go to church or anything. It was just like my family going to church. I want to go to church because I'm gonna be around my family. So it was like that, and within that, I as I'm sitting in church and all of that stuff, it was I didn't really understand everything, but through the experiences that I was living at that time, I understood, parts of it. But actually, like realizing what's like God's purpose for us in the world and like the seeds he plants within all of us, that took for me as a adult now to realize.
Man, I used to be bribed to go to church. My mother used to be like, "Me and my sister don't go together. If we one of us, both of us have to go. It can't just be one of us. So if we don't go together, we're not getting no Chipotle after. We're not getting no McDonald's." So I was more so going to church just for the food at the end.
Hmm.
That's why when I got there, like when I got to church, it was just like, oh, I'll go to sleep or something. I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't really locked in. So like when I get kids, I'm not gonna lie. When I get kids, bro, I'm more so gonna like have a conversation with them prior to going to church. Or do you want to learn about God? I'm gonna talk to them. I'm not gonna be like, come to church. Even if my kids don't even know what church is, I'm not gonna be like, oh, come to church. I'm gonna get you something to eat. You know what I'm saying? Just come. I'm actually gonna talk to them about what church is. You know what I'm saying? Like what we're going here for. Like I wish I had that. I wish I would have had that conversation. You know, for my family. Like them showing me actually what the purpose of it. You know what I'm saying? Not just go
Yeah,
because we go. Not just go because oh it's a family reunion. We go to church every. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing for me with my family. It was just what they do. They go to church, so it wasn't a thing of like, you feel me, like, oh, you have to be here. Like there's been, and even when I was there, like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was sitting there listening to every single thing they were saying. I was falling asleep. I would
Right.
fall asleep sometimes,
No,
and there and not remember not one thing that was said and wake up when they're ready to leave. But it was just the fact that I was around my family and I was around, the people that I love, and even the people in the church that I enjoyed being around. So yeah, it was never a thing of you have to go. There's been times where I missed out on, specific days just simply because like I was tired and I didn't feel like going, and I stayed home. And there's been times where I like what you said of not just forcing them to go, because if they don't understand, not just forcing them to go because if they don't understand the reason why, then there's no reason for them to pay attention to what
yeah,
what the environment that you have them
they
in.
just thinking it's a building where people just sing and stuff. They're not like that's how I used to think of it, bro. I used to think of it going to church, go, because the churches they got like food and stuff, donuts and stuff. I'm just
Yeah,
going to give out free food. That's what I used to think, but I didn't really understand the purpose until I started getting older, and then me being in the isolation for the first time. That's when I was like kind of like more tapped in with it. Like I kind of like understood. Like God was even showing me, bro. You go to church. Like I was able to learn for myself in a sense.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's definitely something that, like, it was never forced, and I never had to experience. Like I remember going for the crackers and the little uh juice that the wine, and you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Wine and bread. I think that's what it's called. I don't remember the exact
they
term,
gave
but
us that. They didn't give us that often though. They gave us that like once
yeah,
and
you
like,
get that like once a month. You feel me?
but donut
And then
stuff was every day. Coffee, donuts, chocolate milk.
and then you get the little. I remember this one candy specifically, like the orange peanut candy. I don't know if you've seen those before. Them
Oh,
jugs hit.
shoot. I used to eat them. I know exactly what you're talking
Them
about. It's like shit
jugs
in the
hit.
fish.
It's shaped exactly like a peanut,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
and it's
yeah, yeah. I know exactly.
orange. That jug hits.
What's that? Oh, is that shit vegan?
No, I don't think it's vegan. It's some candy, and even like the mints. We talk about candy.
Man, I'm telling you, like I didn't. That's one thing I've always had in my back of my head. Like when I have kids, I'm actually gonna sit down with them and like talk to them and be like, "Are you interested in learning about God?" And you know what I'm saying? I'm
Uh-huh.
not gonna let you force them. Hey, come here. If you do this, I'm gonna buy you a toy. Like that's not gonna help. You feel me? Because then they're just in their head. They're chasing after the toy. They're not really chasing after understanding why. You know what I'm saying?
Mm, that's good.
That's definitely something I'm gonna kind of utilize when I'm saying when I get older and shit.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Nah, but that was a good conversation. I think it's definitely a season. I don't believe that I'm in a season of isolation. Believe I'm in a season of growth now, moving forward. I was in a season of isolation, and I have so many stories that I feel like I've mentioned on here that I feel as though will help somebody.
Mm.
But I'm definitely not in that season no more. But I will say, when you in that season, that's the prime time. The season of isolation is your prime time to really lock in with yourself and think about the decisions that you made in your life and what you are contributing to the world, and who you are and what decisions you want to continue to make, what you don't want to continue to make, and just moving forward in a season of then elevation. You feel me?
Yeah, I got one question. One more question for you, bro.
But
How do you know when that season of isolation is over? Like, how do you know it's time for you to take that what you learning, what you going through,
mhm.
and take action on it? Like, how do you know when that's over? Your opinion.
Yeah, I definitely want to speak from my opinion because I can only tell my experience. If I say like, "Oh, this is the guide to do this," it may not work for you. Um, I can use my experience of being depressed and not being in the right headspace, and then having all this doubt and having all this weight and pressure to get off me. And once I've realized like what I play a factor in and what I continue to experience and what actions that I continue to make, and then moving forward by doing the opposite to get a different result, that's when I knew it was my time to let go and get out of isolation. When I felt as though I have a full understanding of what I contribute in the circumstances and the situations that I get in, and realizing how am I going to move forward and move differently based on the previous knowledge that I know.
So
So,
when you became aware of basically the right thing to do, like the right way to go, basically, like
so
the
when
stuff.
I I talked about just depression, but when I would have anxiety or be overwhelmed about so many clients coming to me, and then I'll start to get an attitude and be upset, and not realizing like you work for yourself and you have this gift and you have this blessing of clients that want to work with you, and you are in high demand, and you do have this good problem, because it's a problem, but how can it be improved? The way that can be improved is if you need this, if you have all of these clients that want you in high demand, maybe you need to raise your prices, maybe you need to start saying no more, maybe you need to work on hiring the team, which I'm still working on that.
Mhm.
And once I realized, okay, this is the experience that I've experienced in life, and these are the challenges that I'm facing, and this is when my anxiety arises, and this is when I feel really depressed when I don't make this decision, or when I'm thinking too much on the past, or I'm using my past trauma as an excuse of why I'm still making the same decisions in new circumstances. That's when I realize, okay, moving forward, I'm gonna do things differently. And each time that I continue to mess up on the same thing, I'm gonna continue to bring it back to my conscious mind and think, this is what you need to work on. This is something that you have a problem and a habit of doing. You have a problem of lack of communication when you're overwhelmed. You have a problem of disappearing when you don't have nothing to say to nobody, when you don't want to talk about anything. You have a problem of just being in your own world, or treating others. Ooh, this is something. When things are not going right for you, then you start to project that energy off to everyone else. Your family loves you, and you start to project that energy off to them of you don't want to be bothered, you don't want to be around them, but all they want to do is just love on you, and they love you, and they want you to be in their presence. When I was in that season of isolation, I was literally isolating myself alone with nobody else, like by myself in a room, hours and hours. I didn't have to talk to nobody face to face. All I had to do was text people via Instagram, via iMessage, email people. I didn't have to sit in front of anyone and have to play or put on an act for others. I had to be, as I mentioned before, you have who you are when nobody else is watching. I had to be that person when nobody else is watching. I had to be the flawed person that I was when nobody else was watching, and realize this is who I am, and this is who I want to be, and this is what I'm going to work on intentionally moving the needle towards. You feel me? So yeah, that's pretty much it, of realizing when when the season of isolation ended, was when I realized this is how I would like to move forward. And the flawed person that I am right now is not who I will be in my 20s, my late 20s, or my 30s or 40s. I don't want to be the same person. I don't want to be the same person dealing with father issues or dealing with uh, trauma or depression or anxiety of the same exact thing. I You realize over time that, especially in my experience, I realized that over time the whole having anxiety of business and being overwhelmed and all of that stuff, I'm in control of that. I don't have to work. Here, if you feel as though it's too much, go work a 9 to 5 where you can be
Right.
unhappy and you can't be as creative. You have to contribute to someone else's dream. Go work a 9 to 5, and that way you can just be average. And
Yo,
if I want more from myself, I have to continue to grow. I have to continue to push myself and get uncomfortable in order to be the person that I would like to be on the other side. You feel me?
yeah, so basically when you're really able to be self accountable for everything that you've been through, all the flaws that you have, and then when you finally get the answers to how to fix the flaws, that's when it's time to like take that and just run with it.
For sure. Once you realize this is who I am, this is the flawed person that I am, and this is the person that I would like to be moving forward, still have flaws, but more conscious of how to deal with them,
Yeah.
then your season of isolation is over. Once you realize this is how I'm going to move forward and this is how I'm going to work on self improving myself.
Man, I appreciate you, Treasy, giving my people some wisdom that I needed this shit, man.
Yes, sir. It's happening with isolation. We're the biggest. Let's get
The
it.
biggest.